You flatten an anthill, spray it with water, or stomp it into the ground, and a few days later, it's back in the exact same spot. Sound familiar? That's because the small mound you see on the surface isn't the real problem. The colony hiding underneath is still alive, and until you deal with it the right way, those ants will keep rebuilding. Surprisingly, one inexpensive one-cup treatment can help you stop the cycle while giving your lawn a chance to recover naturally. Before we reveal what it is, tell us where you're watching from and subscribe for more science-backed lawn care tips. First, let's uncover why anthills keep returning no matter how many times you knock them down. A homeowner notices a small mound of loose soil near the edge of the lawn and quickly flattens it with a shovel. By the weekend, another mound has appeared only a few inches away. A few days later, there's another one. It feels like the ants are rebuilding overnight, but what's happening below the surface is far more interesting than what you can see from above. An anthill is only the entrance to a much larger underground colony. The loose soil scattered across the lawn comes from workers digging tunnels beneath the ground. Those tunnels connect storage chambers, nurseries for developing young ants, and protected spaces where the colony continues operating long after the visible mound has been disturbed. Knocking down the entrance rarely affects the network underneath. That's why stomping on an anthill rarely solves the problem. Worker ants simply clear the blocked entrance or create another exit nearby. Since thousands of ants remain active below ground, rebuilding a fresh mound becomes part of their normal routine rather than a major setback. The lawn itself often invites colonies without the homeowner realizing it. Ants prefer locations where the soil is easy to excavate and where the colony can stay relatively dry. Thin turf, bare patches, compacted areas, and sections receiving full sunlight frequently provide those conditions. A thick, healthy lawn offers fewer exposed spaces, making it harder for colonies to establish noticeable mounds. Water doesn't always change their plans. Many people respond by soaking the mound with a garden hose, expecting the colony to disappear. While heavy watering may temporarily collapse the surface entrance, the deeper chambers often remain protected. Once the soil dries again, worker ants simply reopen the tunnels and continue expanding the colony. Over time, repeated mounds begin affecting more than appearance. Fresh piles of soil can bury nearby grass blades, interfere with mowing, and create uneven patches across the yard. As colonies continue relocating soil, the lawn gradually loses the smooth, uniform surface most homeowners are trying to maintain. The visible mound is really a symptom, not the source. Removing loose soil without affecting the colony underneath usually leads to another mound appearing somewhere nearby. Lasting results come from targeting the activity below the surface instead of repeatedly fixing what appears above it. Once you understand that the colony, not the mound, is the real problem, another question naturally follows. How can a simple one-cup treatment affect thousands of ants living beneath your lawn without damaging the surrounding grass? That's exactly what we'll explore next. Imagine shrinking small enough to travel beneath an active anthill. What looks like a simple pile of loose soil from above is actually the entrance to a carefully engineered underground city. Narrow tunnels branch into dozens of chambers where worker ants store food, care for developing larvae, and protect the queen. As long as that hidden network remains active, another mound can appear no matter how many times the surface is flattened. This is where the one-cup treatment borax comes into the picture. Borax doesn't work by collapsing the mound or driving ants away with a strong smell. Instead, it takes advantage of the way an ant colony feeds itself. Worker ants constantly search for food, then carry part of what they collect back through the tunnels to share with the rest of the colony. That behavior is the key to the entire method. When borax is mixed correctly with a sweet bait, foraging ants treat it like another food source rather than something to avoid. They transport tiny amounts back underground and pass it from one ant to another through a natural food-sharing process called trophallaxis. Because the bait moves through the colony instead of staying at the surface, it reaches ants that never leave the nest. Results aren't immediate, and that's actually a good sign. A treatment that acts too quickly may affect only the workers you see above ground. Slower action gives those workers enough time to return home and distribute the bait throughout the colony before its effects begin. That increases the likelihood of disrupting the colony instead of simply reducing the number of visible ants. The surrounding grass is usually not the target. When the bait is placed carefully around active anthills instead of being scattered across the lawn, the treatment focuses on ant activity while minimizing unnecessary contact with healthy turf. That's why careful placement matters just as much as choosing the right ingredient. One important limitation should be understood. Borax is designed to help manage ant colonies. It won't repair bare patches, improve poor soil, or solve lawn problems caused by drought, insects, disease, or nutrient deficiencies. Those issues require completely different solutions. By the time ant activity begins slowing, the real work has already happened below the surface. The colony has been affected where it matters most, not at the mound you could see, but inside the network you never could. Now that you understand why the treatment works, let's walk through the entire application process from locating active colonies to treating them correctly and helping your lawn recover afterward. Late in the afternoon, the lawn is finally quiet. The sun is lower, the grass is dry, and several anthills show clear signs of activity. Tiny workers are moving in and out of the entrances, carrying food back toward the colony. This is the ideal time to begin because active foragers are more likely to find the bait and transport it underground. Start by confirming the mound is still active. Watch it for a minute or two instead of treating every pile of loose soil you find. Some mounds have already been abandoned, while others remain busy beneath the surface. Applying the bait where ants are actively traveling gives it the best chance of reaching the colony. Prepare the mixture with care. Measure 1 cup of the recommended bait mixture and place small portions around the entrance and along the ants' regular travel paths. The goal isn't to cover the entire mound. Giving the foraging workers easy access encourages them to collect the bait naturally instead of avoiding a heavily treated area. Once everything is in place, resist the urge to disturb the colony. It may feel satisfying to flatten the mound immediately, but doing so can interrupt normal foraging activity before the bait has been carried below ground. Allowing the workers to continue using their tunnels increases the likelihood that the treatment reaches deeper into the colony. Weather also plays an important role. A dry day without heavy rain in the immediate forecast gives the bait time to remain available. Strong rain can wash it away before enough ants have collected it, reducing the overall effectiveness of the treatment. Over the next several days, observe rather than interfere. You may still see ants moving around the mound at first. That doesn't necessarily mean the treatment has failed. The workers need time to carry the bait throughout the underground network before noticeable changes begin appearing above the surface. As activity gradually declines, the mound becomes much easier to manage. Once very few ants remain, gently level the loose soil and smooth the affected area with a rake. If the grass was buried or damaged during excavation, lightly reseed the spot and keep the soil evenly moist until new growth begins blending with the surrounding lawn. By the end of the process, you've done more than knock down another anthill. You've addressed the colony first and restored the surface afterward, giving your lawn the opportunity to recover instead of repeating the same cycle. Removing one colony is only part of the solution. The next section compares different types of anthills and lawn conditions, showing exactly where this method works best and when a different approach is the smarter choice. Not every anthill behaves the same way. Some disappear after a single treatment, while others seem determined to return no matter what you do. The difference often has less to do with the product itself and more to do with where the colony has settled and how well it has become established. A newly formed mound is usually the easiest to manage. Small colonies have fewer workers collecting food and a much smaller tunnel system beneath the surface. When foraging ants quickly discover the bait, it can circulate through the colony before it has time to expand into a much larger network beneath the lawn. Older colonies require more patience. Large mounds often indicate a well-established nest, with thousands of workers traveling through multiple underground chambers. Those colonies can still respond to the treatment, but it may take longer because the bait must move through a much larger population before activity begins to decline. Lawns with several scattered anthills present a different situation. Rather than focusing only on the largest mound, inspect the entire yard for active entrances. Colonies don't always build a single obvious hill. Treating every active location prevents smaller nests from continuing to expand after the most noticeable mound has disappeared. The condition of the lawn also influences long-term success. Dry, thin turf leaves expose soil where ants can dig more easily and where new mounds become highly visible. Dense grass creates a more stable surface that naturally hides small disturbances and makes excavation more difficult. Improving lawn health won't eliminate ants by itself, but it can make the yard a less inviting place for future mound construction. Areas besides sidewalks, driveways, and patios deserve extra attention. Warm surfaces absorb heat throughout the day, creating favorable conditions for nearby colonies. Ants often establish nests along these edges because the soil stays relatively dry and easy to excavate. Checking these transition areas regularly helps identify new activity before large mounds develop. Some situations call for a different solution altogether. If dozens of colonies suddenly appear across the property, ants continue entering from nearby structures, or the infestation becomes widespread despite repeated treatment, the problem may extend well beyond a single lawn colony. At that stage, a broader pest management approach is often more effective than treating individual mounds one by one. Choosing the right method for the right situation saves both time and frustration. A small active colony in the lawn is very different from a large property-wide infestation, and recognizing that difference helps set realistic expectations from the very beginning. Even when you've matched the treatment to the right colony, a handful of common mistakes can undo the results. Before you assume the ants have won again, the next section reveals the everyday habits that quietly allow new mounds to reappear. Several days have passed since the treatment, and the lawn looks much quieter than before. Ant activity has slowed. The largest mound is beginning to collapse, and it feels like the problem has finally been solved. This is often the stage where small decisions determine whether the colony disappears completely or another mound appears a few weeks later. One common mistake happens before the treatment has time to work. Flattening the mound immediately after placing the bait may seem harmless, but it interrupts the workers while they're still carrying food underground. The goal is to let the ants do the difficult part for you. Disturbing the nest too early reduces the amount of bait reaching the colony beneath the surface. Weather can quietly undo the entire effort. Heavy rain soon after application may wash the bait away before enough workers have collected it. Extremely hot afternoons can also reduce foraging activity, leaving the treatment untouched for hours. Choosing a period of dry, moderate weather gives the colony the best opportunity to encounter the bait naturally. Another setback comes from treating only what you can see. Many lawns contain more than one active colony. Removing the largest mound while overlooking smaller entrances nearby often creates the impression that the treatment failed, when in reality, a different colony simply became more visible after the first one declined. The surrounding lawn deserves attention as well. Bare soil and thinning grass make it easier for ants to establish new entrances in the future. Once the colony has been controlled, leveling the disturbed area and encouraging healthy grass growth helps reduce the exposed spaces where fresh mounds commonly appear. Patience remains one of the most important parts of the process. Unlike instant contact sprays, bait treatments rely on normal ant behavior. Workers need time to collect the bait, return underground, and distribute it throughout the colony. Judging the results after only a day or two often leads homeowners to interrupt a method that is still working behind the scenes. Long-term success also depends on reducing what attracts ants back. Fruit scraps left outdoors, sugary spills, pet food, and other easy food sources near the lawn can encourage new colonies to explore the area. Keeping the yard clean doesn't guarantee ants will never return, but it removes one reason for them to settle nearby. A few weeks later, the lawn tells a different story. The loose soil has been leveled, fresh grass is beginning to fill the damaged spots, and the constant cycle of rebuilding mounds has finally slowed. The treatment succeeded because every stage from proper timing to patient follow-up worked together instead of relying on a quick surface fix. With the colony under control, one final step remains. The next section shows how to restore the damaged grass and make your lawn far less inviting for future anthills, creating results that last well beyond this season. The last visible anthill has finally disappeared. The loose soil has been leveled, ant activity has slowed, and the lawn already looks cleaner than it did a few weeks ago. It might seem like the job is finished, but this is the stage that determines whether your yard simply loses one colony or becomes a place where new colonies are less likely to settle. Begin by restoring the areas the ants disturbed. Small mounds often leave behind uneven spots where grass was buried or pushed aside. Lightly raking the surface smooth creates a level seed bed if reseeding is needed and helps the lawn regain its uniform appearance before the next mowing. Some patches recover on their own. Where healthy grass still surrounds the disturbed area, the existing plants often spread naturally over time. Larger bare spots may benefit from a light application of fresh grass seed, followed by a thin covering of peat moss to help the seed maintain steady moisture during germination. As the new grass begins developing, your lawn gradually changes in another important way. A thicker turf covers more of the soil surface, reducing the open spaces where ants prefer to build noticeable entrances. The colony isn't choosing your lawn because it dislikes grass. It's taking advantage of exposed, easy-to-dig ground. Dense, healthy turf removes much of that opportunity. Regular lawn care strengthens that natural advantage. Mowing at the proper height keeps the grass vigorous without exposing excessive amounts of bare soil. Deep, consistent watering encourages stronger roots, while seasonal fertilizing supports steady growth throughout the year. Each practice contributes to a lawn that's better equipped to recover from everyday stress. Early observation makes future problems much easier to handle. During routine mowing or watering, take a quick look around sunny edges, sidewalks, and open areas where anthills commonly appear. Catching a new colony while it's still small is far easier than waiting until several large mounds have spread across the yard. No lawn remains completely free of ants forever. Colonies naturally move through outdoor environments, especially after changes in weather or soil conditions. The goal isn't to eliminate every ant that enters your property. It's to prevent small colonies from becoming large, persistent mounds that damage the appearance of your lawn and interrupt normal maintenance. Now picture your yard a few months from today. Instead of dodging fresh anthills every time you mow, you see an even, healthy lawn with thick grass covering the places where loose soil once appeared. The one-cup treatment helps solve the immediate problem, but consistent lawn care is what keeps that improvement lasting season after season. Many homeowners accidentally attract ants back to their lawns without realizing it, simply through one common yard care habit. Watch the next video to discover the surprising mistake that encourages new colonies and the simple change that helps keep your lawn healthier, greener, and far less inviting to ants.